So today we're going to take a look and see what trademarks Moncler has filed. One of the things that I want to point out though before we get started is that, as you guys can see, their mark, and one of the cool things that we can learn from them is if you take a look at their mark, it's actually a bell-shaped mark, and in addition to their lettering, their stylized lettering, and their name. I've kind of hinted at this already, but let's take a look and see what sort of marks they have filed. The way this starts out is you want to go to tsdr.uspto.gov. So we're going to go to tsdr.uspto.gov, first things first. And by the way, just for you guys that don't know, Moncler is an Italian fashion house, started off in France. This is going to be a clue for how we can go about searching for their trademarks. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do an advanced search. So I'm going to go ahead and search the trademark database on TESS. I'm going to do an advanced search. This is also known as a freeform search. And I'm going to search by owner. So that code is OW. And now if you didn't know that, or if you forgot that, not a big deal. You can find it, just scroll down, you'll see it down below, owner name and address, owner name. I'm going to do owner name and address because I want to make sure that I find the right Moncler. I'm going to look for the one that's in Italy. For now, let's just look at their live marks. So again, this is the code for live, LB, live or dead. That's indicated right here. If you didn't know that, you just scroll down and look for the code name. Again, these are field codes. I'm going to go ahead and click search. So let's start looking around, seeing what we can find. A couple of things that you'll notice right off the bat. One thing that we're interested in is seeing marks that don't have any words related to them. So here's one right here. Let's take a look at this one. I think you guys will find this one pretty interesting. As you guys can see, we scroll back and take a look at their page. You're going to notice that this is actually an upside down bell, right? You see how the bell, you see how it's upside down? So kind of interesting. So here it looks like they're pursuing a mark, or they have a registered mark on the Moncler, but it's upside down. The mark consists of a sign depicting a reverse stylized empty bell. Again, so it's basically their mark as they usually use it, but it also shows up upside down. So that's very interesting. So they decided to not only protect the right side up version, but also the backwards upside down one. Let's take a look at some other marks they have, like the more recent ones here. You're going to see the more recent ones up top. Again, this is just a straight word mark. One thing that you'll notice is that they are going to have a lot of marks, not just on clothing. So the stuff that I listed out, clothing, like jackets, pants, shirts, all that, that's all going to be a class under class 25. But as you can see, they sell more than just clothing, right? So this is what you're going to see in a lot of the high-end brands. They're going to cover just more than just their clothing items. So this is class 3. This is covering shower gels, basically scrubs, lotions, moisturizers, all the above. Now, let's take a look at some other marks they have. Okay. So this is the mark that you probably were expecting when you guys first logged on to watch the show. So this is the classic, the Moncler mark. This is what you find on their site. For example, if we take a closer look, as you can see, take a look at this next to this particular mark here, you can see the resemblance. Kind of interesting, great way to learn about how high-end brands view this. But again, this is their mark, and then this is the mark that as they filed for. So as you can see, obviously the obvious similarities. Again, you're going to notice this is also under class 3 because they also sell things other than clothing. They also sell these scrubs, moisturizers, lotions, gels related to bathroom items. Now let's take a look. Let's see what else we can find. Again, it's really cool to do this for the big brands because you're gonna notice a lot of really interesting things, and you're probably gonna learn stuff too. Again, this is class 25. Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if we can actually find a specimen. So it was initially filed in a foreign country, so we're not gonna be able to see the specimen here. But let's look at some of these other marks that they have. Again, these marks here are gonna be the ones that don't have any text. Okay. So this is the right side up bell, right? So this is a stylized design of an empty bell. So this bell right here is going to look more like, is going to more look like this design here, right? So again, one thing that I want to point out to explain to you guys is that this is the logo that the company uses on a lot of their products, but this is actually an amalgamation of maybe 4 different trademark applications, right? So there's a trademark application that can be filed on just the word Moncler. There's a trademark application that can be filed on just the interior inside pattern right in the middle. And then there's a third trademark that can be filed on just the bell design. In other words, this outline of a bell right here. And then you can also file a trademark application on the whole, or otherwise referred to as a composite mark. So a mark on all the above of this entire design with the logo, with the word, and with the bell on the exterior. So really interesting. And I bet if we keep looking down, we're going to find a lot of these variations. So again, this is straight word mark. This is class 9. So this is going to cover sunglasses, eyeglasses, and all different types of electronic devices that they sell. And again, class 35, this is retail and wholesale store services, right? Because they have actual physical stores. Pretty interesting. Now, let's look for that M. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. Here's an M. So I bet you this is going to be probably the logo. Here it is. So there you go. So this is as I said, remember, multiple ways of protecting it. So in this case, they're protecting just that interior design. So pretty cool. Again, what appears to be one mark is actually 4, maybe even 5, like they've done here, where they actually flip the bell upside down. I think it's really cool. This is a particularly cool company in the way that they protected their brands, because I think they were frankly pretty creative. And it seems like they were pretty expansive in how they even tried to use patents in addition to trademarks to protect their intellectual property. So good learning example. I think there's a lot of interesting things that they've done here that you guys can learn about, especially if you guys are trying to build big businesses and are interested in trying to protect your trademarks and your brands. So again, this is a circle design. Yeah, I'm clicking quickly through here just because I want to just show you guys all of this content. So this right here is what I described earlier, where I was talking about the composite mark, where they're actually covering all of it, right? So again, this is probably going to cover a different class. So again, this is a different class. So it's class 26. So this is going to be armbands, fasteners, snaps, buttons. Really interesting to see how much coverage they have. Okay, now this is another stylized version of their M, right? Because they probably aren't going to just have that same M pattern. Sometimes they have variations of it. But again, we're going to find marks on a lot of these different variations. This is just about coverage, brand protection, trying to get as much protection as possible and expanding the brand out. And especially if they use it and are actively using these various marks on their items, it's a no-brainer. So let's see what this is. Another design mark. Let's see what this is. Okay. So another variation on the bell. And this is covering eyeglasses and some electronic devices, in addition to all their various clothing items. So again, another bell design, pretty cool. Let's see if this M is any different. Another variation of it, very different. As you guys can see, class 9 electronics. Okay, upside down bell again, or sorry, right side up bell, but just the outline of it. So another interesting way that they protect their brand. We're going to see more of these bells. Now, again, the reason why we see a lot of these same marks on the register is because they're covering different classes. So there's separate applications. So this application, for example, is covering jewelry, lace and embroideries, and various other, and even games. Pretty interesting. It's always really fascinating. It's fascinating to see how these big companies are able to do this. This one's covering perfumes, candles. Also, it's interesting to see how they describe their mark. So as you can see, there was a search on rooster, hens, chicks. The company itself, they call it stylized cockerel. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but so that's Moncler. One thing I want to show you guys is this is kind of interesting right here. There's a lot of text on here. It's probably because it's like a comic strip. Let's zoom in. Let's take a look at this mark. This is kind of interesting. Another consideration that you guys should make whenever you guys are doing branding. I'm zooming in as much as I can, but this looks like something that Victoria could possibly read, except for the fact that it's way, way, way too small. Victoria, this looks like French to me. I don't think you can get out of that. I don't think you can get out of this one. So again, great company, a lot in terms of examples, and seeing how they are able to be creative both in patents and trademarks in protecting their brand. And what you're going to see is that companies that have a lot of resources and that are larger, especially fashion houses that are all about creative, some of them are also going to have really creative ways of protecting their intellectual property. And so one of the nice things about the public nature of trademarks is that you can learn from them and you can see what types of marks they file, how they file their applications, how they describe their specimens, how they describe their logos, and also how they take what seems to be one logo and actually turn it into 4 or 5 trademark applications. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it.